This is not my motion. This is not my meeting. I wasn't even going to be here. I'm late. I'm 2 hours late to where I was supposed to be.
Here comes
There's Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Where's Mary Lou?
Cat.
Not sure if Kat's coming. Kat's definitely not coming Monday night. I don't know if she's coming tonight.
I could have swore that was a current thing she was.
No, she said due to that was the Monday night announcement.
I took that to be Monday night, but I don't know.
Yeah, it was a reply to Denise's email about the Monday meeting.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
She's the queen of all trades. She's the museum person, the clerk person, the meeting person tonight. She's everything person. Run the Walmart person. Although I noticed there was a cupcake person thing there too.
Okay,
Well,
I'm
they're
at
all something.
6:30. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we'll go roll call, please.
Aiken.
Here.
Bayer. Harnest. Scarborough. Kenworthy.
Here.
Tobias.
Here,
Lee.
Here. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if it pleases the rest of the council at the table, since Ms. Bayer called the meeting and she just parked, I imagine she's probably walking this away.
All right, we'll give it
Unless she's on the phone.
a few minutes here. You want me to step out and see?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell her.
Would you please?
Tell her she needs to reset her clock. But it isn't 7:30 yet, so
6:30.
I mean 6:30. Look at the box ticker.
Verizon says 6:30.
Sprint says 6:30.
And they're wrong.
Fitbit says 6:30.
It's not milk time.
No, this is.
That's not your atomic watch.
Yeah, this is one. And this
That's
was
another atomic
This
one?
atomic and solar.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah, this was top shelf there.
Good evening, ladies.
We'll call the roll again.
And we actually already called roll for absence, so we'll just note for the record at 6:31.
Hi, Meredith.
Hi.
Oh, you brought us food?
Oh, no, we're.
Oh, all right. Yogurt or something. The first item is the fiscal 2015 budget.
An option B has come to mind rather than voting in the budget with the refund, and it is to do the refund out of this year's budget.
And after conversing with the town attorney, he feels that that's even a better option because then you're using this year's surplus, which you're using this year's tax records to justify the amount of the rebate to everybody anyway. So it makes more sense doing it that way.
Tell me how we get around by not closing our books yet, and do we really? How
Get
do
around
we
what?
really are?
What do you mean by get around what?
How do we get around?
Well, the fiscal year does not end until June 30th.
Correct.
Anything that you obligate the town to prior to June 30th counts as a fiscal year 2014 action item. So any debts we incur, any expenses we incur, any income that we incur or is due during the fiscal year, even if it arrives, even if a payment for something in June arrives July 1st, 10th, 15th, it gets pushed to June 30th budget year. So any action taken tonight to expend any funds is part of the fiscal 14 budget year. Once the action is taken, whether it happens Monday, whether it happens Tuesday, Steve and I were just talking about this prior to the meeting, it doesn't really matter how quickly staff enacts it. It's done and it's obligated, and they'll get the checks out sometime next week. They have the checks. They have the quantity of checks necessary. Jennifer's got the spreadsheet. She needs one help with an Excel spreadsheet formula, which I'll help her with, just like I did in the 2011 calculations when we did it. So there's two formulas that have to be put into Excel. Once you put those two formulas into Excel, you get everybody's rebate amount, and then the staff can then input those into the computer for rebates, push print, all the checks will print, and then in theory, they'll all be done on Monday since we still have 3 council members who can sign on Monday. If not, well, actually, quite honestly, because it's a fiscal year 2014 thing, they can sign all week next week because they're still the signers on the bank account and it's action that was taken by this council, so therefore they're still signing for this council.
Right.
You guys have a meeting or a work session. The new council has a work session on July the 1st. I would imagine that at that point in time, as Mr. Aiken and I were just discussing, you guys will discuss who is able to go down and become authorized signers for the next council. And whoever is ready to be an authorized signer at that point in time, whoever the legitimate signer is according to the eyes of Fauquier Bank, they'll be the ones who have to finish signing the checks. But any action taken tonight by this council, our 3 authorized signers can sign, regardless of whether or not it's tonight, tomorrow, or next week.
Plus, after you select the names, it's gonna take at least a week more.
So
You can get that done, 'cause you have to go down and sign cards and all that stuff.
So the thought is that it's not taking it at whether or not we have an overage or for this year.
We do currently have an overage expected this year of
It's-
$159,000.
So it's actually would be taking it from the reserves?
No.
I don't know where Jennifer and Rebecca figured out how to fund it, but
Where
I
would it
just
be
know the
coming from?
logistics behind it.
$104,500 from our streetscape capital reserve and $45,500 from our general reserve.
There you have it.
104.5 and 45.5? That makes 150?
Yep.
My main concern, and my only concern here, is to make sure that this is not have an adverse effect on our employees having to do something really quick. As long as it can be stretched out and it all get done, I'm okay with it.
Well, just since for the courtesy of everybody else, what you and I were talking about earlier, again, it's an Excel spreadsheet that Jennifer already has in place. She needs help with 2 formulas. I did the 2 formulas 3 years ago. It's no problem. It'll take 5 minutes to do the formulas. Then they have to do the data entry, and then they have to push print. And that's a task that can take not too long to do. Push print, you let them print, and then you guys sign them whenever you sign them. So it's not that it's not an arduous task, but it's a task that's going to be done whether it's done today, tomorrow, or the next day. But
Again,
the fact of the matter is,
not to rush it.
the staff is aware of their
Right.
responsibilities on Monday, and they've already made preparations.
Right.
Okay.
I was incorrect. It is 105,500 and 45,500.
No, 104, 500, and 45, 500. 105, 500, and 45, 500 is 151.
Okay.
104, 500 plus
Oh, there we go.
45,
Sorry. Okay,
500
yes, sorry.
equals 150.
Okay.
So the intent is not to have the staff come in the weekend this week?
No.
Staff will not be coming
No,
in the week.
they don't need to come in over the weekend.
All right, all right.
That's crazy.
All right.
So,
All right. So is that a motion?
It's very long and drawn out, according to the attorney.
It's not my motion. It's your meeting.
Do I do our ordinance and then do the appropriation, or it's 2 separate?
I would make, well, I didn't read them. I haven't seen them. If you pass them here real quick, I'll read them. Well, I'll come over there.
Thank you.
so this resolution was drawn up by the attorney?
Yes.
A.
Oh, was this the one that was drawn up like months ago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's just been altered to fit the situation.
you did?
originally.
A and then B.
Okay.
He knows that.
And he checked it over today?
Yes. Well, no.
Ordinance returning $150,000 of surplus real property tax revenue to taxpayers. Whereas the town of Haymarket anticipates approximately $150,000 in excess real property tax revenue for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2014. And whereas the return of surplus real property tax revenues is authorized by Virginia Code 15.2511.1. Now therefore be it ordained that the town council of the town of Haymarket, meeting this 27th day of June 2014, that the town council finds that the real property tax has generated approximately $150,000 surplus over governmental needs. Be it further ordained that refund checks be mailed to the address of record for each taxpayer on or before June 30th, 2014, and that the treasurer reduce a taxpayer's refund by the amount of any taxes, penalties, and interest that are due from such taxpayer, or any past due tax penalties and interest that have been assessed within the appropriate period of limitations. For the purpose of this ordinance, any taxes includes any taxes assessed on any basis, including without limitation, real estate, personal property, fee poll, and meals tax. This ordinance is effective upon adoption.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor and seconded by Mr. Kenworthy.
That motion actually states they must be mailed by the 30th.
It's what the attorney said to do.
Yeah, I would
Is
strike
there any-
mailed. Issued effective June 30th.
Okay.
Issued effective June 30th.
And it should be issued effective.
You okay with that?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm good with it.
You good with your second?
Yes.
No other discussion?
Nope.
Roll call vote, please. take
Mary
this.
Lou has an appropriation she would like council to.
I would like to make a motion for the purchase of 24 months of prior service for Chief James Roop into the Virginia Retirement System with a check in the amount of $21,826 to VRS stated and mailed on June 30th, 2014, and to be paid from the Public Safety Police Department category.
Okay, well, first of all, we're going to have to have a, that's great you have a motion, but I think it's invalid right now because we have to add it to the agenda.
No, it's under appropriations. It's an
Well,
appropriation.
may I ask for you to hold your motion for a second, withdraw your motion for a second, and will you take care of item number 2
Oh, sorry.
pertaining to the one that we just started?
Okay.
There's still a second, would you withdraw your motion?
Yes, I will.
I don't
Because
think
there's the second half of that.
Yes.
There was no second.
No, there wasn't.
I move to amend the fiscal year 2014 adopted budget amendment 2014-003 by reducing streetscape capital reserves in the amount of $104,500 and the general reserves by $45,500 and appropriate an expenditure of $150,000 to be allocated among the property owners who were assessed a real estate tax in the town of Haymarket for the calendar year 2013. Checks to bear the issue date of June 30th.
Second.
Motion and second on this motion. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Aiken,
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kenworthy. Tobias.
Yes.
All right, I reintroduced my motion.
Please read it again.
Motion for the purchase of 24 months of prior service for Chief James E. Roop into the Virginia Retirement System with a check in the amount of $21,826 to VRS dated and mailed on June 30th, 2014, and to be paid for from the Public Safety Police Department category.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Discussion.
There's $55,000 in their budget for this. Most municipalities fund retirement after 5 years. He's been here 17 years.
Let's pause for a second and let's talk about VRS versus the other retirement options that the town had in place years before. The town had in place many years before an IRA program that was adopted and participated by a number of members of the staff, including members of the police department. So the town then, in 2011, decided that the VRS system was a better way to go. And the decision was made at that point in time. At that time, employees were given the option of buying years of service themselves, and it would have been matter of fact, because I talked to many of the employees at the time, it would have been something where they could have cashed out and used the money in their IRA funds to purchase their prior year's service in the defined benefit from the VRS, the defined benefit system from VRS. That option was given to them at the time when the town decided to adopt the VRS system. The VRS system was adopted, I believe, unanimously at the time, and has been working quite well, I think. I'm not sure why we would do this for one employee and not other employees who have the same type of tenure within the town. And I'm curious as to what the logic and reasoning behind it is.
Yeah, so who authored this? I mean, so maybe they can
It
explain.
was a group effort.
I can tell you who wasn't.
Okay. So
From
who was-
my understanding,
well,
others.
first of all, who knew about this first?
I knew about it. It's
I
been
knew
here
about it from
17 years.
conversations.
Yeah.
No, well, I'm just talking about this. I mean, I didn't know about it tonight. Looks like Steve, did you know about this tonight? Jay, you didn't know about it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, all right. So now we know who knew about it. Go ahead. I'm
From what
sorry.
I understand, there are other employees that are vested and others that are not. And I'm sorry. After 17 years of service, we're fixing buildings. We're overfunding projects that aren't going to actually get accomplished. I think we can take care of employees as well. And I agree with Mary Lou. The economy is hard, and people have to borrow against their retirement for one reason or another over the years, sick kids or kids in college or something else. And after 17 years, I think we can.
The money's there.
Exactly.
The
Like to
money's
hear
not
more.
there because we just used the surplus that we expected in this year's budget to fund the refund checks. We don't have, just because it's in that category, doesn't mean that overall you have the money. We just used the surplus to fund the rebate. Someone didn't do their math.
Okay.
I have the same question as Jay. What
Well,
about others?
if I may, you mentioned that other employees are vested and others are not. That has to do with how they treated their own retirement many years ago when they were participants in the VRS plan previously, and whether or not they cashed out for whatever purpose and whatever reason. I know of an employee in the town who cashed out her IRA numerous times and did many different things with it to, support her family as necessary, et cetera. And that person has quite a longevity with the town as well. I'm concerned because we don't have the money to do this. Just because it's in that particular category of public safety, it doesn't actually compute when you add up everything and you add up the expected surplus. We just spent $150 of the $159,000 surplus. This is going to put us in a $12,000 deficit, which we should have. Quite frankly, I'm astonished that neither of the two of you contacted me about this to discuss this. Quite frankly, that's a slap in the face, but I didn't see that one coming. I quite frankly would rather do some research on this, and maybe we can add it to our special meeting on Monday by unanimous vote, because quite frankly, there needs to be more research and more education on all of us with this. Because
Well, we do have another option
Well,
where
the
we can take the funding from.
well, the problem is that if you do for one and you don't do for the others, I think you're creating a bad situation.
Absolutely.
I think you can't set a precedent and do for one and not do for the others. And believe me, I know where you're going with this, and it's not that I don't necessarily support it, but I think this needs to be thought out a little bit more by everybody, quite frankly, because we've got a lot of employees that have public safety or public government exposure for numerous years that we should probably consider if we're going to take care of them, taking care of all of them.
And have
But
us,
most importantly, too, it's the transparency that, hey, if we knew about this maybe is a good idea, but it's something maybe should have been an agenda item and maybe should have done months ago and looked at all the employees and had better discussion than a last minute, let's put it in here. We've got 4 days left until.
We only have 3 employees that have true tenure to the town, 10 years or better.
Right. I'm
One
just
is
concerned about,
vested, one has never mentioned it, and
I'm concerned about the transparency. I'm concerned about the citizens that are watching this and thinking, what's going on here?
And I'm not going to lie, I won't say never, very rarely ever do I agree with David. But there is a huge transparency issue. There's a huge problem if you do for one and you don't do for the others. You're defining tenure with the town, and I don't know that tenure is actually defined anywhere within the town. Number one. Number two, you've got other employees who have worked for the town for a number of years as well. I can think of, I believe, 4 that have more than 5 years of service. So, again, I think if you do for one and you don't do for all, you're creating a potential litigious situation.
and I feel like I'm being blindsided here that no
I
time
don't
to
disagree with you at
research
all. I'm
it, no
completely
time
blindsided.
to...
No, but we don't have the money. This is going to put us in a fiscal deficit. Period. I mean, this puts us. We just took the projected surplus from the last report that I saw was $159,000, with more income expected to come in, but not thousands and thousands of dollars of income. That projected surplus was just eaten up by the refund that we just offered and authorized. Therefore, that leaves us with approximately $10,000, $9,000 and some change. And now you're trying to take $21,000 to buy back the years of service for someone who, I'm not disagreeing, doesn't necessarily deserve it for his longevity to the town. But there are others who have longevity with the town as well. And quite frankly, I think it's a disservice to do for one and not do for the other. Quite frankly, I think that perhaps the best thing to do for the council would be to revisit the budget as it was advertised for next year and take the $150,000 that we were going to put in for the refunds for next year and budget $50,000 towards the town center master plan or towards the Hariver master plan and budget up to $100,000 towards employee retirement costs and let the next council hem and haw about it. Because quite frankly, I think that this deserves a lot more than a 5-minute discussion or a 10-minute discussion. And don't get me wrong, I don't like doing it, but I agree. Steve's been blindsided here. I've been blindsided here. David's been blindsided here. And this is something that is something that quite honestly should have come to me as a financial matter. Secondly, should have come to all the council for discussion in a more open session. And we probably should have got a legal opinion about it.
And should have been on the agenda for the public, too.
I don't necessarily disagree. I agree with it because the appropriations are on there. It doesn't say what
And I
appropriations.
fear that we could be setting setting us up for I forget the word now.
No, it's precedent.
Litigation.
Precedent.
Precedent.
We're setting up a precedent here that what expectations are going to be later on.
Well, we
Exactly.
should have that in place regardless of
Then it
anything.
should
You should
be
have 5
planned
years, 10
and-
years. No, but I'm just saying most localities have that. We do not.
I agree, and I
And
think Brian is
17
working
years
Brian's working
is a
on-
really long time. And I'm okay with like letting it go and just making sure that it's there for the next council to do that because I think our employees deserve that.
I concur with
Not
you.
just
I
one,
concur
but
with
all
you.
of them.
I concur.
Okay.
That's exactly
No,
what I said.
I know. I'm
That you should
agreeing
do-
with you.
All right,
Are
well,
you
don't look at me so
shocked?
mad. I would suggest,
No, I'm not mad.
if you would, to because the 2015 budget is on there, and because we have the $150,000 that we could, it's there in both categories. Actually, it's not. It's in the second budget, the one that we should have adopted on Monday night. Make the modification to that budget worksheet with the $150,000. You just have to work it out.
Right.
You're bringing in the $150,000 in fiscal reserve, in general reserves, and instead of doing the $150,000 in negative income from the tax, you put $150,000. If Jim's is 21, then I imagine the other folks are less than 21, and there's only 3 other employees. So,
Right.
So you add 3 times, call it $75,000 or $80,000. Call it
Right.
$84,000. just
Because
in
we're
case.
funding projects that we're not going to be able to finish.
I would call it
next year.
$84,000 towards employee. You could even call it $100,000. $100,000 towards employee retirement expenses, and $50,000 towards the Heriwork Foundation. There's your 150, the same number we've been working with.
Right.
We don't have to do any other modifications to the budget. And then the next council has it on their plate and on their agenda, and all of us can come up here and champion for it the best that we can.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
That is what I think should be best.
I'm okay with
So
that.
we're going to withdraw this motion? Is that what we're trying to do?
Yes, this motion, I will withdraw it, yes.
And we're second withdrawal on this?
Let me see.
I didn't second
Oh,
it.
so I'm sorry.
Mil-
Well,
Okay, so-
however, then we still need to adopt the
That's what I just
different-
said.
Yeah,
That's
so,
it. But now you got to find the line items where they were plugged in.
In the meantime, didn't we look at our employee benefits at some point in time? Where we stood, salary-wise, what the town was offering? Jay?
no, we never,
I'm busy. Come back to me in a minute.
Well,
we had
we're working
discuss,
over that.
we had discussions about it. I
No, we
don't
did.
think
I'm not
staff
sure.
actually did a comparison. Well, I think staff did for what we were discussing, but nothing that ever looked at Maureen when we were discussing it, so.
Being exact, but it's just salaries or that we,
Well, if we haven't done one in a while, we probably should.
yeah.
Would 4 of those employees be 2 admin and 2 PD?
I thought it was only 3.
Aren't there 2 admin and 2
Are we
PD?
looking at more than 5 years?
What's the time frame?
That's for the next council to figure out. There's 4 employees that we're worried about having vested that has any kind of longevity.
I know
time.
that one member of the police department that does have a long period of time is vested.
So you need 1 for the PD and you need 2 for town staff.
Well, depending on time period we're going, there
yeah.
would be, if we're looking at
Well-
the 5-year mark, there's 2 more PD,
Well, we don't need to get into that discussion. We don't have 2 more PD that have been with us for 5 years.
Donna and Jeff. They've both been here 5
Shaver's
years.
been here 5 years?
They've
Wow.
both been here 5 years.
Well, the longevity window is going to have to be plugged in by the next council. They're going to have to discuss that. They're going to have to work the personnel manual, et cetera. What I would suggest is on the budget as it was written, there's a real estate tax rebate on page 5 of the packet that says negative $150,000. We strike that.
Okay,
That then brings us on the next page to $874,000 transfer of cash reserves, $874,757. That's still okay.
okay.
But now you need to add expense categories on page 7 for VRS. Instead of $12,000, you have to amend that to.
Well, we have to break that up between police department and...
That's what I'm doing, Ms.
Okay.
Bear. Thanks for the last minute warning. You know I didn't.
Sorry,
be
I'm
in the
looking
first
at the...
place. Page 7, you're going to change 12,000 to probably call it 52,000. So that's 40 of the 110.
Okay,
In the police department VRS, you're going to change 21.5, and you're going to add 60 to that. and you're gonna make that 81.5.
Okay.
And then you're gonna add $50,000 on page
13.
13, Hanover Master Plan, 50 plus 50 becomes 100. So therefore, the bottom line has not changed from 3359264. Just a couple of numbers are changed. Page 5 of the packet, you're striking the 150 negative on line 2. You're leaving the 874 fine on page 6 of the packet. You're adding $40,000 under town administration on page 7 of the packet, under the VRS, changing 12 to 52. On the next page, on page 8, you're changing 21.5 to 81.5, you're adding 60. And then on page 13 of the packet, you're changing the drafting of concept phase 1 construction for Hanover Master Plan from 50, you're adding 50 to make it 100K. So you have 40 plus 60 plus 50 is 150, and that is how somebody needs to make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 15 budget.
Milk, you want to do that?
Are you looking at me to do it?
Yeah.
You made all the notes.
First and foremost,
I don't have a pen now.
be it resolved that the town council of the town of Haymarket on June, what was Monday? June the 23rd of 2014 did in fact inadvertently adopt the incorrect budget that did not include the proper allocation for expenses and or rebates and or expense line items. Therefore, be it resolved that the council, as a unanimous voting member of the council that voted yes in the motion, I'm asking us to rescind that vote and vote to strike that vote.
Second.
The motion on the floor has been second. Let's get the discussion out of that. So what?
This is the motion to strike what we did on Monday.
Because it was a wrong vote. It was a
The
wrong
only way
vote.
you can reverse a motion is that a member of the affirmative voting party has to ask to be reconsidered. I'm asking for us to reconsider the matter, and I'm asking for us to strike that vote.
Okay. Everybody
So we're
understand
not
what's
just
going
going
on?
to amend it.
We are currently striking
We
Monday's
have to
vote.
strike
Right.
it.
We have to scratch
Because
it
we are
and
still
start
operating
over.
under the, we have still adopted Monday's budget.
Okay.
I'm
Right.
asking that we reconsider that motion, and I'm asking that we strike, and I'm doing that on one motion. Please
Alright.
reconsider and please agree to strike.
Okay, so we got a motion and second discussion. Any further discussion on this one?
No.
Everybody totally understands what's going on here?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
All right. Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kenworth.
Aye.
Tobias.
Yes. Now, therefore, be it resolved on June 27th, Resolution 2014-0627, I guess technically this is the fourth, President, 1, 2,
Are we
3,
up to
this is,
8?
no.
We
You
were at
had,
7
you had
before.
hers, then you had hers, there was
Oh, I'm
2
sorry.
for her.
I thought you were talking about how many.
No, tonight.
Sorry.
There was
I-
2 motions for her
something else.
tonight. She struck one. I just popped a third one. So this is number 4. So Resolution 2014-0627-4. Resolution to adopt the annual operating budget and capital improvement budget and adopt the tax rates in support of the budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2014, ending June 30th, 2015. Council's had numerous work sessions, whereas the town council has had at least 7 work sessions to consider the proposed fiscal 2015 budget, and whereas the budget was advertised on May 2nd, the public hearing was held on May 19th, 2014, in accordance with Section 15-1-162 of the Code of Virginia. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Haymarket, Virginia, meeting in a special session this 27th day of June, 2014, that the budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2014, and ending June 30, 2015, is hereby adopted as follows. She didn't fill in my blanks. Total revenue for the town of Haymarket for the fiscal year 2015 should be $3,359,000, as budgeted, is $3,359,264.00. $3,359,264.00. The total expenditures for the fiscal year 2015 are also going to be $3,359,264.00, bringing us to a combined total net budgeted surplus or deficit of $0 for 2015, giving us a balanced budget. To be reflected with the changes made tonight pertaining to a couple of expenses as indicated in previous discussions for council packet page 13, council packet page 8, council packet page 7, leaving alone council packet page 6, and striking the reference on line 2 of council packet page 5 for the budget as advertised in the agenda as fiscal year 2015 proposed budget with tax rebate, even though the tax rebate is not necessary anymore.
Second.
Discussion.
Amend my motion to include also the advertised as indicated on packet page 3, the 2015 tax rates that support the budget as advertised.
My second still stands.
Discussion. Okay, I'll start. No notice. No public comment. It's just not the way government's supposed to run.
We didn't change the bottom line.
The bottom line has not been
When we
changed.
go through the budget and went through the tedious process of going through line items and stuff like that, this should have been part of that process. If we thought about it, it should have been there, and it seems to me it's a last minute.
Well, we should have thought about it.
Well, I kind of agree with you, David, but I also disagree in that the budget as advertised was 3359264. Therefore, the budget still as adopted is 3359264. The only thing that has changed in the overall categories, which may be changed by motion of council at any time, given any kind of significant, there's no significant number that has to require a public hearing. Our attorney has told us numerous times that so long as the bottom line does not change prior to the adoption of the budget, we can tweak it up until the 8th and 9th and 10th and last minute. Unfortunately, that's what has been done, and I would much rather do it this way and leave the onus to the last minute discussion that was brought up by the ladies in attendance tonight to the next council versus doing what they wanted to try to do just now. So I think that to err on the side of caution, this is the best way to do it. At the end of the day, 3359264 is still the same number. We've not modified any tax rates. We've simply changed where some of the allocation of those funds are, and the next council can reallocate to their heart's content.
Yep.
Mr. Kenworthy?
I'm okay.
No comment.
No comment. Ms. Scarborough?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
Fair? I'll call for a vote.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kenworthy.
Yep.
Tobias.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes. Second.